Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Hello everybody, welcome back to another week of the Pick and Go podcast, and we've got plenty of action to get stuck into from the last 10 days or so of rugby union. Huge round of Super Rugby Pacific last weekend and another big one coming up, so we'll get right into it. Joined as always to my left by Richard Laddy. How have you been, Richard?
Very good, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, what a weekend of footy we traded to. A couple of great games, plenty more to look forward to.
Yeah, that Reds Waratahs game was an all-time thriller.
I'll tell you what.
Go down in the history books.
Drew a Brumbies, eh? Watched the replay about three times.
Good, yeah. And you, Paul, how you been?
I'm good, thank you, Patrick. Yeah.
Good. Nice to hear you bringing the energy early, a lot like the Blues.
I'll leave it like the Hurricanes. I'll bring the energy late.
You might be subbed out by that stage.
Please do.
I'll talk to my contacts anyway. I think we'll get right into it because I'm fairly sure the game we're referencing is going to come up in the first section here, where we'll just go around the table and say what we learned from the last round of Super Rugby Pacific. Paul, since you're so energetic and eager this morning, I'll let you kick it off. What were your takeaways from round 2 of Super Rugby Pacific?
The Hurricanes, when they decide to give the ball a bit of air, actually play some very nice rugby. It was almost possession and field position wise, it was almost a turnaround from the Hurricanes the week before, where they had most of the position, most of the field position against the Crusaders. This time, I think it was almost 2/3 to 1/3 against them. And that's probably why they found themselves 18 points down with 10 minutes to go. And as soon as they started to give the ball a bit of air, a wee bit of love, things started to turn around, and they look pretty good. The Blues, they shouldn't have lost that game.
No.
They just lock it. You lock it down. You're 18 points up with 10 to go. You just lock it down. You start walking to scrums. You put the ball out. You just don't let them get any sort of second or third or fourth phase ball. You just don't let that happen.
Have some sort of modicum of a kick chase in the last 20 minits might have been handy.
Well, indeed. It was just, it was a great game to watch. Especially if you're a Canes fan. But that's one that definitely got away from the Blues.
Look, guys, I don't want to say it because, there's been a lot of raps around his debut, but was RTS the problem all along? Was he the one contributing to these crazy blowout losses the Warriors kept conceding in hilarious fashion? What are your thoughts there, Richard? I know you're a diehard Warriors fan as well.
Oh, yeah, well, I tell you what, apart from that, Arteta's tackle at the end there, I think that it was a pretty exceptional debut from him. I have seen some talk of it being the best crosscoat debut of all time. We've seen plenty over the years.
Some funny things these days, aren't they?
No, there was plenty to like about Pasifika, that's for sure. But yeah, he'll be remembered for that tackle at the end there. My takeaway from the weekend was probably one of them was that Paul was probably right that he might be an All Blacks bolter. Roger Pasifika might be on a point there, but I actually wanted to sort of highlight the headache that Ian Foster might have at fullback for the All Blacks with Will Jordan playing the way he is at the back there. I mean, I think Geordie still obviously will be there, be the incumbent, but good Lord, Will Jordan, the things that man can do with ball in hand, he'll be, if he can sort of keep that form up, there'll be some head scratching in the sort of selection department there.
He'll be on one wing, surely.
Well, yeah, I think at the moment, I mean, Geordie's the incumbent, they'll keep him there, but I just think when he's at fullback, I think he has a little bit more room to move around and hit those gaps and just do some of those Will Jordan things.
The All Blacks teams of the past have quite enjoyed having, if not two fullbacks on the park at one time. And I can see them going down the same road here with, and they may switch during the game as well. With Geordie switching to a wing and Jordan going to the back. So
Look, they both, they both have to start, don't they? But, the way it is, it'll probably be Geordie at fullback. But if Jordan can keep playing the way he is, good lord,
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Can either of them play prop?
Wow.
Well, John Hart would probably play him at centre, wouldn't he? That'd be the way to go.
Too soon.
Yeah. I was. Will Jordan was obviously that try scored sort of late on in the second half there in Dunedin to really break the Highlanders.
Yeah, that was
pretty special. But yeah, for me, I'd still be having him at 14. I just think he still offers a lot there, and you get them both in the team. But got to give Super Rugby a bit of love as well. The man was on fire. Like when he's the other option to wear the 14 jersey, like just absolutely spoiled for choice in the back three there, because he really sort of dragged the Crusaders back into the game. They looked pretty flat to start with, and it was just his energy and intensity and not being able to stand still for a second that really got them going. He was obviously instrumental in the first two tries. So yeah, I think he's another one who is he's sort of that forgotten man. He hasn't done anything wrong. Other guys have just kind of passed him a little bit. Sort of like maybe Bowden Barrett was a couple of years ago when Moana sort of jumped into the 10 jersey. But he's just had a great start to the season. And if he keeps playing like that, and then we haven't even talked about Lester Fainga'anuku and another great, the man's offloading ability. So
another, spinner in the works there, because he should. Yeah, I was talking last week about how he was sort of had so many aspects to his game, getting with offload, and he showed that off on 2 or 3 occasions, and that was part of the sort of reason the Crusaders did run away with it in the end.
Yeah, no, so sport for choice in there, but then Caleb Clark came back with a bang. Celestia Arce was very good for the Hurricanes.
Khalil was great as well.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's going to be some interesting times, and with that Island series first up, it's not it's not Fiji and Italy to kick off the season or something where they can sort of rotate a bit. Ian Foster would not want to be losing that first test, I can tell you that much. So yeah, lots to keep an eye on over the next few. Maybe we'll have to bring in an All Black stock watch or something segment to the show as the season goes on, because some interesting battles to keep an eye on. But I do want to circle back to the man we were all talking about on Saturday night, because it's been on the tip of everyone's tongue. You obviously thought RTS was very impressive, Richard. What were your sort of early returns on All Blacks bolter Roger Tuivasa-Sheckpool?
All round, I think he had an above average game. I thought his positioning was very good for someone who hasn't been in the 15-man code for a while. He had a lot of energy. He did miss that tackle late in the game, but I don't think you can sort of frame his performance around just one aspect. I think overall he was above average, and he's got the potential to get a lot better. So I think it was a pass mark for him in his first game back in the 15-man code, and looking forward to what he does this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly I thought maybe a little bit of the hype on the commentary was maybe overblown. At one stage, he just sort of took a step to his right, and people were acting like it was sort of Christian Cullen reincarnated. But
he split the atom.
Yeah. He just sort of turned at a 90-degree angle. But no, he was very good. It was all that sort of little stuff, those carries in traffic that we've seen him do so many times for the Warriors. That stuff, he wasn't caught out positionally defensively at all, which I think was probably missing a one-on-one tackle. That's going to happen, and because it was in the 80th minute, it's going to be magnified. But he'd done probably really well to play 79 minutes under the roof for his first game of professional footy in 9 or 10 months since he left the Warriors early. So yeah, no, I think you think about other league converts, like even Nani Lamape in the same position, he wasn't doing this his first game. He took a while to really hit a stride for the Hurricanes. So yeah, I think you've got to be pretty happy if you're any of the many people at New Zealand Rugby. I think probably put a pretty big recruiting effort into getting RTS back this side of the Tasman.
It was a very nice pop ball from Ben May as well, which sort of.
Oh yeah,
he likes that.
It was lovely. It was, but then it sort of.
Did you know he was the oldest Super Rugby player of all time?
What's that?
Did you know that he was the oldest Super Rugby player of all time? Did you pick up on that from the commentary on the weekend? Or
is that right?
Yeah.
Did they talk about people other than RTS on the commentary?
Yeah, I was watching the game. I didn't have the sound up though, so I didn't catch much.
Maybe Hurricanes player, but yeah, I feel like they talked about that. Yeah, in between the shout outs to RTS, that came up a couple of times.
Granddad Ben May.
And I'm glad you sort of touched on the Hurricanes there as well, Paul, because they did put together a couple of really impressive backline moves during that comeback. Like, obviously, it was a bit of a weird finish to the game, but that's 2 weeks in a row now. They've shuffled the team around a lot. There's been changes in the backline. They've made a couple more changes again this week for the Highlanders game. Do you think the Canes are any closer to knowing their first choice 15, Richard?
Well, I'd say they've given Sullivan another go at centre. Probably had to happen. I
don't think you can drop him after that, right?
Had a great game. Obviously had a touch in that final try. Really nice little chip and chase for one of the other tries as well. So yeah, I see that they've sort of brought him in. It's still a bit of chop and changing. Good to see Ruben Love back at first five. I think that Garden Bishop didn't really offer too much, and you saw when Ruben Love came on, he sort of just brought a bit of energy. Sevilla's back to the wing. Obviously, Riasi he looks to have sort of got that left wing kind of probably.
You say that, but like performing well hasn't secured him a spot on the team the previous season.
Yeah, I think they're not quite there, are they? Yeah, I mean, even in the back row, they've got. It's because Carriffy's back. Was he injured last week?
Yeah.
So that was it. Yeah, so Carriffy's back, and then Flanders on the bench. So I probably wouldn't mind to see sort of Flanders starting.
What's Brady Yossi got to do to get?
He was immense when he came on. He was great. So yeah, between one of those guys, and then obviously Umaga Jensen on the bench still as well. So I think they're still chopping and changing, aren't they? And I think that this game will be big for them. They'll really want to. So they're 6.5 point favourites for the Highlanders this week, and it's always dangerous when they're favourites by that much. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I think Ruben's got to get the run in the 10 jersey now. Like, they look so much more dangerous with that threat taking it to the line. Like, Jackson Garden Bishop obviously offers a lot organisationally and that sort of stuff, but we've said before on this podcast, the man's not the biggest threat to sort of take on a defender. So I think that's a positive. Balin Sullivan for me is locked down the 13 jersey. Same with Riasi and 11. So it's really that 12. I think that's going to be the question. Like, I've just done another search for Tay Walden because, if anyone's seen Tay Walden around Queenstown or Wellington, please let us know, because the man seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. I was really hoping to see him get a run in the 12. Maybe they're hoping Peter Umaga Jensen, who's on the bench again this week, once he recaptures some form, can fit into that midfield puzzle with Balin Sullivan. But that's the question. And Wes Hurson, I thought, was great as well. He's one of those guys, like, he's not super flashy, but he always seems to make a positive impact whenever he touches the ball. So I think my choice would be him and Riasi on the wings, but Julian Severe seems to at least he can pop around and he can fill in gaps now. He was very good at second five.
I was a bit worried about that.
He didn't. There was no sort of spinning wheel gifs that were on the internet around 8:30 on Saturday night. So that was
they were solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, they look very, very good. And that Husson he reminds me of that former Tigers, now Titans winger. What's his name? Thompson, yeah. They're sort of in the same sort of mould, body shape wise,
isn't he?
But they hit the line, or they find gaps where there aren't really gaps. They run wonderful lines, but they've got a knack of bouncing out of tackles at times as well. When you think, oh, he stopped, he's gone. No, and then it just pops out and he's off and gone. So. Yeah, I agree. They've got some riches out wide, funnily enough, the Canes, with obviously Geordie at the back and Riasi, Husson, Xavier. They're not looking the way. If they can get some good quality ball out to those boys, like they did in the final 10 minutes against the Blues, they'll score some points.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that'll have to be the game plan. Just let teams run ragged in the first 55, bullying your pack, and then when they're too exhausted from scoring too many tries, you can come flying back over the top. But now, I think at least we are seeing some positive signs. Like, it might take a little bit to put the puzzle together. There's plenty of depth in the loose forwards as well. We haven't really touched on what we sort of did with Flanders and Yossi. So I just need to figure out the tight five probably. So positive.
So was that the young lot? Was it Sangster?
Sangster from Bay Plenty. Yeah,
I thought he had a great game.
Might have picked up a niggle because Caleb Delaney's getting a start at lock. He's sort of like I think he can play a bit of blindside as well. So maybe they're trying to get a bit more mobility into that pack after the Blues. Like, you'd have to say, in that first 60 minutes as well, I was sitting there and, wow, this Blues pack might be pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they just bullied the Hurricanes early in that game. It was
play 80 minutes,
Yeah, whether they can do that this week against the Chiefs remains to be seen. We'll get to that shortly, but interesting as well. I guess the last thing, just if you're a Blues fan or a Blues coach, do you leave that game positive or like you obviously blew the game, but I think there's some pretty positive signs for the team as a whole there, right?
Their backline, I think. We talked a lot about their backline. I thought that they were, great. Tosa Sheck.
Still got
Rico probably didn't have his greatest game, but still had some nice touches, and I think that him and Tosa Sheck could create a very nice partnership in midfield there. Their wingers are both brilliant, I thought. And then Christie played well.
Zahn Sullivan had some great touches,
and then Zahn and Balin are brothers, I presume so. And then once Bodie's back, I think he'll bring, because they're probably lacking a bit there.
Harry Plummer didn't actually play. I'm pretty sure.
I read something. I read like a review of the game, and it was talking about how he just must have been told not to run the ball at all, or something like.
Maybe the two teams just agreed before the game. We're like, neither team's going to take the ball to the line. We'll just sort of
cancel each other out,
abdicate the 10 position, and use the rest of the back line. How about you, Paul? Do you think the Blues overall, after they've sort of settled down from that, the comeback, might have found some positives from that performance?
Oh, there are plenty of positives for the Blues to take out of that match. As you say, they were by far and away the best team for the first 60, 65 minutes. The forward pack performed very, very well. The rolling maul, it was all going to plan. So I'm sure the fact that they lost still stings them a wee bit, and that might actually help them this weekend against the Chiefs. So I think you can sometimes, if everything goes right and everything falls into your lap in a game, you can then turn up to the next game and be a little sort of complacent. Obviously, that won't be the case for the Blues. And although I don't think their pack will get the same sort of dominance they had over the Canes pack against the Chiefs pack, I still think they'll get enough quality ball for that back line to really shine. So, I'm not throwing the Blues out with the bathwater,
as you've been known to do before. Any other notes or nuggets you want to touch on from week 2 before we head to this weekend's footy?
I guess the weather in the Reds game just cost me a little bit.
You got your best bet up.
Yeah.
That's taking a $1.20 shot as your best bet, I suppose.
142. That's right. Yep.
Looked promising at the start. It came out with a pretty strong and up 10-0, but Waratahs maybe got a bit of fight on them compared to previous seasons. And then Reds probably had some opportunities late in the game, but the handling errors were just on both teams were a bit.
And you've been sort of Mr. Possession and Territory so far this season, Paul. And like the Waratahs, by all accounts, should have won that game. The amount of time they had in the Reds 22 and vice versa. If anything, I'd be a bit concerned the 2 times the Reds actually got any ball on the Waratahs line, they sort of capitulated pretty quickly. I don't know how there was no one within about 3 square kilometres of Jordan Patai for that chip kick. But it was. I don't know. So I think there are some positive signs for the Waratahs as a whole, because last season there's no way they're sort of dominating the phases of play against the Reds like they did there. And a couple of Angus Bell was great. I think he's one to keep an eye on in terms of like a really good ball playing prop. Can he nail out the finer arts of scrummaging and the sort of set piece, as remains to be seen, as we've seen with so many of these talented props. But I think there's certainly positive signs from a Waratahs point of view.
I think you can take that a wee bit further and then go possibly the performance of the Drua against the Waratahs in round 1 wasn't as bad as maybe we first thought. We thought the Waratahs, maybe got away with one there, but I think with the performance they put up against the Reds, that now puts a wee bit of perspective into the Fijian performance. So, I'm not writing the Drua off just yet.
No, absolutely not. I then like the Drua, obviously pretty heavy loss to the Brumbies. Scoreline's not pretty, but it's kind of the one I think we all saw that sort of going that way. The Brumbies just did what they did. They had a pretty effective set piece. Boy, I had bets on both their hookers to score 2 or more tries, and they were both over the line or a millimetre short on 2 separate occasions, and only got 1 between the 2 of them. But it was just a pretty efficient performance from the Brumbies, sort of get back to winning ways. But the Drua, I think they probably saw that schedule right, and they had Waratahs week 1, Rebels week 3, which we'll get to shortly. But I think that if there was ever going to be a letdown game, they probably almost put this one in the sort of, it's a learning category for them rather than a game they're actually ever expecting to really be competitive in. So yeah, something to look forward to. Cool. I think that pretty much
Yeah.
All right, shall we? Because exciting times Friday night. Probably won't be the most competitive game of rugby you've ever seen, but we do finally get to see Moana Pasifika in action on the pitch. Still, this game's down at Forsyth Bar Stadium under the roof. But after 2 weeks off, the new franchise will be taking the field against the Crusaders team, who have rested a few blokes. Obviously, it's not going to be the most fascinating betting contest. The Crusaders very heavy favourites. I think it's in the mid 40s at the moment. Oh, it's down to 39.5. That's very interesting.
Yeah, just had a look then.
What do you think, sort of, from Moana Pasifika's point of view, Paul? What are they hoping to achieve from Friday night?
Just to get through the game, I think, just to try and get a few set piece moves together. They've had a terrible disrupted build up with COVID, so I don't think they're thinking about, well, they probably are thinking about trying to win the game, but more along the lines of, let's get some combinations going. Let's see if we can get this forward pack rolling, get the line out, the set pieces, the scrums. Let's build a foundation that we can then improve on for the rest of the competition. Is that line? Was that line 43.5 yesterday?
I think it was
opened at 43 and went up to 47. Yeah.
And now it's into 39.
Must be a team. The teams. I mean,
the Crusaders have given a few guys a week off, but they still have
plenty of.
Yeah,
They got Machima Wanga coming from the bench.
I don't. Yeah, well,
Is anyone else thinking of changing the best bet of the week?
Yes. What do I have down? But that seems interesting. Especially, I just think being under the roof is not great for Moana Pacific. If they could have played this at Mount Smart, maybe there's a little bit of drizzle around or something, and it could have been a bit of a slower game. They're just going to get run off their feet later on, I'd imagine. Crusaders have 2 weeks of games under the roof, under the belt already. That match fitness is going to be rock. These guys have been in self-isolation for the better part of the last fortnight, so it's just going to be really tough. Yeah. But I think, it's obviously not a game they're probably expecting to win, but I'm pretty excited about a few of the names they've sort of named it. It's a pretty exciting team sheet, particularly in the back line. Is there anyone you've sort of got circled, Richard?
I'm starting to see McClatchy at 10. We talked on when we previewed Moana Pacifica, but what they're going to do about the 10. Leo Lafano, I presume. Oh, he's on the bench. Yeah, so I wanted to see McClatchy there, and he is there. So him. There's plenty to be sort of excited about there. I think I liked what I've seen from Levi Amoa and
he was
centers.
Very aggressive in the preseason game against the Chiefs.
So if he can kind of bring some of that, who will he be marking up against? I think that
Dallas McLeod.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the most experienced Crusaders midfield, but I'm really looking forward to seeing them. It's going to be sort of history to see them get out there and get a run under their belt. Hopefully they can get a few points on the board. But yes, now that line's come in so much, I'm quite surprised by that, to be honest.
It certainly shocked me clicking on that just then. Paul, who are you excited? I know you've been a big McClutchy fan for a while now. There's a few other Hawke's Bay got names in that team sheet as well. What are you looking for? Who are you looking for to see in action on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm looking for the number 10, big time. I think he was very unlucky to miss out on a Hurricanes contract. But he's in Moana Pacific. He gets his opportunity, and I hope he has a bit of a go. I'm also keen to see how Pablo Matera goes in the number 8 jersey for the Crusaders. So I think he will have a huge game, and he may feature in a little same game multi that I'm thinking of.
Interesting, yeah. Matera's one to watch. He's been pretty quiet the first 2 weeks. I thought I think it does go to show it's a different circumstance for him. He's not just the main man on the block doing whatever he wants for the Pumas, so that he can pop up where he wants and carry the ball. He hasn't missed many tackles, but I think that he probably needs.
I think it was about 20 minutes into that game on the weekend, and he did something. And he was just like, "Oh, he's playing." Yeah, I just hadn't seen him at all, and
Especially you got Ethan Blackadder now back at the 6 jersey. He's going to be taking one of those loose forward spots going forward.
Yeah.
Cullen Grace is still at huge reps. He's been in All Black squads. Like he's certainly someone I think that the Crusaders are going to want to give plenty of game time. Like once again,
Tom Christie's top tackler in the tournament so far, I think. So
it seems like they've got a pretty good sort of 4-man rotation there. They can rotate in and out, but
depending on what sort of I guess loose forward combination they want to go with. And I think this is a perfect game for Matera to sort of bust out and show us those skills and aggression that he had playing for Argentina. So,
because people have been sort of talking about the pace of play and maybe struggle, but the guy's played like 3 seasons. He was in a Super Rugby final 2 years ago. It's not like he's never played against the Hurricanes or the Highlanders before. Like he has played against New Zealand Super Rugby franchises, obviously maybe fitting into the Crusaders systems a little bit different.
I think that's the thing, just trying to I guess acclimatise to the Crusaders system, and he's had a couple of games now, and this game you would think he'll be getting a wee bit more room, a wee bit more freedom to express himself. So, and I think that's what we'll see. So looking forward to a big game from the
almost like a get right game for him, where they have a few set pieces set up to get him charging at some Moana Pasifika midfielders, or you make McClutchy there, Paul.
Oh, I wouldn't run at him. He'll drop him.
I bet you wouldn't. I just had circled as well Solomone Funaki, the blindside for Moana Pasifika. He was playing sort of more of a bench role for Hawke's Bay in the NPC last season, but he provided impact when he was coming off the bench. He's got a few meat pies and pretty dangerous ball runner. So interesting to see him given the starting 6 jersey there, but hopefully you can see him, another loose forward who can get his hands on the ball and create some havoc around the park. And then just shout out to Danny Tuala, had one of the best headers I've seen in the history of the planet in the preseason game against the Chiefs. So very excited to see what he's done with his hair over the last 3 weeks. But I think Funaki, and obviously shout out to my man Timofanga Nuku on the wing, Manawatu legend. So seeing him and his brother go at it, it'll be good fun.
Half an hour, I mentioned Manawatu. That has to be some sort of record.
Ruben loved
HIA.
It's true.
But I think that pretty much covers not too much else to touch on in the sort of traditional betting markets here, because Crusaders 13 plus is $1 even with the line moving in. So keep it. I'd probably, I don't know, is that line likely to move further, do we think, or would you take the 39.5 now, Paul?
I'd take it now. I understand it's not a full strength Crusaders team, but they've had 2 runs. Most of those players have had 2 runs under their belts. The whole squad has pretty much had 3 weeks of solid training together, whereas the Moana Pasifika they've maybe had 2 or 3 runs together as a squad properly, and been locked up in isolation for a number of days. It's not an ideal preparation for a match against the Crusaders. So I'm very happy to take the minus 39.5 right now. I misread it this morning. I thought it said 49.5, and it had gone from 43.5 to 49.5. I thought, we're probably getting close to where it should be. Oh, it's gone the other way. Oh no, it's 30. No, I'm very, very keen on 39.5.
It's one of those ones as well. I think even if it's Moana Pacific, probably they're going to be pretty fired up coming out of the gates. I'd probably look at whatever the Crusaders minus is at halftime, because you've got a certain Moanga lurking there on the bench under the roof. Just that match fitness factor. Like Crusaders obviously
he'll be itching to get out there.
Plenty of extra depth on.
Prove the gutters wrong.
Yeah, Bryn Hall and Cody Taylor as well. Like they've got plenty of talent on that bench to run on. So I think it could really blow out late, unless the Crusaders. And I like the Crusaders. It's so competitive for places in that team at the moment, and a lot of the other guys on the bench are young guys who are really going to want to lay a marker down on what they can do at Super Rugby. So I don't think they're going to be taking their foot off the gas for sure.
This is their chance to sort of say, well, I can play. I do deserve a spot in this team. So those players that we haven't seen a lot of in Super Rugby, don't worry, they'll be up for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we said, not the most traditional betting interest on this game, but we are running Super Rugby same game claim on all 6 games this weekend, where if you place a 3 or more league same game multi and they miss by 1 league, we'll refund you up to $50 as a bonus bet. So we're just going to each go around the room and give a same game multi for the match, give a little bit more betting interest. I'll let you kick us off, Richard. What's going on your same game multi?
Well, probably the -39.5 started off, and then I might go with a couple of try scorers, Whainganuku, Kina Hola on the wing, and then Richie Moana off the bench. So 4-leaguer. Obviously, the markets aren't up yet. Not sure what to pay. Might even pay to have a look at what the line's going to be and get on the over as well, because I think there'll be a few points scored.
So, and you, Paul, what's your same game multi look like?
Yeah, similar. I'm taking the 39.5 as well, the Crusaders. And then I'm taking a couple of the forwards. I'm going to take Pablo Matera and Ethan Blackadder, both to score tries.
Yeah, nice one. I just had 3 try scorers down here, but I'm actually going to switch it up, and I'm going to take the 39.5 because I think that does look too juicy to turn down. Then I'm going to also have Pablo Matera because I think they're going to really make a point of getting the ball in his hand and getting him out in a bit of open space this week. So I'm backing him to score a try, and then you guys already know Lester Whainganuku's going in there, but I'm going to back him to score 2 tries. Because,
how bad?
Get a little bit of extra value in there. But
Oh yeah, $1.10.
Yeah, it might be around that. Kanina Hola is another one, right? Like on Super Rugby debut, I imagine they're going to try and really give him an opportunity to dot down. So we wouldn't talk about might just chuck him in there as well, make it a 4-leaguer.
Probably, George Bridge as well will probably score a try. So
sure.
Put some good energy on when he came on last week.
Do we want to move on to Eden Park? Because it's pretty fired up about this one.
Yeah, great game.
Blues Chiefs. What are your first thoughts when you saw the odds here? Paul, Blues opened up as $1.65, $1.57 favourites. I think they were sort of.
I think it's pretty much where it should be. I think the bookies have got this one pretty much on the money here. The Blues should be walking into this with a win under their belt. They haven't, but if you look at the bulk of that game against the Hurricanes, they were by far and away the best team. Obviously, the Chiefs will provide a different sort of opposition, but I still think the Blues showed enough in that game, and they'll be able to build on that. I thought the back line was solid. I thought RTS will be better for that game, and he'll have a bit of a match up there in the midfield. But I just think the Blues, the forward pack just was so impressive. And I think that they, even if they just get parity with that Chiefs pack, that'll be enough for this Blues team to win. So I know the Chiefs are getting some All Black. Sam Cane's back. The young fella Lord.
Mm-hmm.
They've
got 3 All Black locks in their pack, starting pack.
One playing blindside.
Yeah, 2 providers playing blindside.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no Brody Retallick at second 5 experiment this week, but I've still got my fingers crossed. We'll see that before the end of the season.
I'm sure we'll see another offload from Brody.
Oh, yeah. No Anton Leonard-Brown in the starting team, though. He is named in the 23 jersey, though, so should get a run later on. So I think that the key battle, Richard's going to be that the 2 packs, right? We saw the Blues pack was very impressive for the first hour or so on Saturday night. The Chiefs pack was as advertised in their win over the Highlanders in week 1. How do you see that one playing out? Can the Blues get parity with the Chiefs up front?
I think they can. They definitely. I didn't have very high expectations of the Blues full pack, and obviously the backline's very flashy, but I thought they played great. Dalton Papali comes back this week. I thought Josh Goodhue was freaking huge. He was just one of the best on the park last week. Even Romano, bringing the dad bod. Really, really enjoyed that. Could sort of agree. Yeah. Good. What's the word I'm looking for? I feel like he's just someone who you can really like, really relatable for me. So they can bring it, but they'll have to. They'll need another big sort of game from the likes of sort of Goodhue and Romano. Eklund was great as well. I thought he had a really good game, one of his best games, and probably in the Blues jersey. So Tutu was. He didn't have his best game, but it wasn't bad. So and might be just with that sort of top sort of back row there might bring the best out of him. So I think we're in for an absolute incredible battle of these forwards, and it'll be whether the sort of Chiefs backline can keep up with the Blues. I'd probably still give the advantage to the Chiefs and the forwards. I think they were really good in that Highlanders game, and they really just shut the Highlanders down. But it could be a bit more of a.
And we saw like the Highlanders weren't far off the pace, at least for the first 50 minutes or so against the Crusaders. So in hindsight, I think that Chiefs' performance in week 1 does look better now after seeing the Crusaders maybe struggle to get such a foothold against the Highlanders.
I think
so I'll probably be fighting with. Yeah, I think the line's probably about right. I think the Blues, as Paul said, should have won last week, and but just getting that 3.5, 3.5, is it 3.5 or 2.5? Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, I think I'll be siding with the Chiefs there, with the visitors.
Do you have something else to share there, Paul?
Well, I think in terms of the Crusaders, I don't think they've got out of second gear yet this season. They just sort of, I guess, just sort of cruised through games at times, and then got a wee bit of magic from a Will Jordan or a Sevu Reece. So
I think they kind of had to put their foot down a little bit there. Maybe it was at the 30-minute mark. We actually had the Highlanders as favourites in the live betting, and they were down double digits. And you sort of Sevu Reece and
then
those in particular actually were like, oh, maybe we need to start playing like the Crusaders here.
Yes, and then they stepped it up for 10, 15 minutes, something like that, and then they just started cruising again. So I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, like to get through the whole season. But I don't think we've seen them at their very, very best yet. They've just, I don't know if it's by plan or just that's how the games have gone for them. But watch out if when they do get everything right, whoever they're playing will get an absolute smashing. So
Richie Moana and Jack Goodhue still haven't played a minute between them either. Ethan Blackadder as well. This will be so, plenty of tip. But we're not talking about the Crusaders. I don't know who got big
sorry about that.
Classic Crusaders bias from Paul Moati.
Yeah, unbelievable. Is it crazy for Crusaders fans to see Luke Romano in a Blues jersey?
You'd imagine so, yeah.
They've had enough locks for a long enough time. It's about time they started sharing some of them.
It did look very bizarre.
Yeah.
As an ex-Crusaders fan, who was a Crusaders fan when Romano started his career there.
How was seeing RTS in the Blues jersey? Was it?
Oh, it was
pretty jarring.
It was pretty jarring. Yeah. Like I actually said to my partner, I'm pretty sad watching this. But then, watching him play so well, I'm looking forward to seeing him play for the All Blacks. But it would have been nice to see him playing in the Hurricanes midfield or something. Do you think that having that week off for the Chiefs is going to benefit them, or?
I don't think it'll hurt. It's different to like the Blues situation where they were coming in cold. Like they've had a game under their belt. They can see how the game plan and a few of their players looked in a proper Super Rugby environment. Yeah, I think get a bit of like guys like Brody who hadn't played a lot of competitive rugby recently, or Super Rugby at least.
Yeah.
He obviously hit the ground running. I think he's only going to go strength to strength. Yeah, Josh Ioane's another one they got into the fold. They got used to. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the Blues obviously they're gonna I don't know, they're gonna come flying out of the gates, but they came flying out of the gates last week and couldn't hold on. So like you look at the depth on the Chiefs bench as well. Bradley Slater is a quality hooker, Angus Ta'avau and Ngātaua Koi both very solid. Kalen Boshier is another one, and then you've got Leonard Brown and Xavier Rowe. Leonard Brown, obviously world class midfielder. Xavier Rowe has been really impressive for me. So yeah, I could see. I don't like Bowden Barrett coming off the bench for the Blues. Obviously helps, but yeah, I'm certainly leaning because I just think the Chiefs pack is better, and I think they will like the Blues. It's a whole different story this week for the Blues. I reckon. I think they're going to struggle to get that same foot. We just saw like the Chiefs pack kept the Highlanders at arm's length. They were like, not come get into this game, and I think we could see a lesser extent the same thing. I think the Blues will have their moments, but I could see the Chiefs dominating the game set piece wise as well. I think maybe they'll have a bit of joy. So yeah, I'm definitely on the +3.5 here. Interesting as well. We've got to keep coming back to RTS because that's the rules when you talk about rugby in New Zealand at the moment. But I think Quinn Tupaia is a very interesting matchup for him. Really excited to see how that goes. Obviously, Tupaia had a strong 2021 campaign, really physical, strong ball runner. I imagine he's going to make a beeline for, because they're going to be competing for an All Black midfield spot, maybe, with a sort of
the
in there. So, yeah, very interesting. How do you see that one playing out, Paul?
I really don't know. I'm just wondering about ALB. Is he not 100% at the moment? Is that why
they've got All Black minute restriction things, don't they? And like he didn't play against the Highlanders, so maybe they just wanted to ease him in.
Okay.
He has had a few injuries in his time as well, so don't want to overdo it too early.
Good to see Bodie back on the bench for the Blues though after all that concussion chat. Like if that was an injury that had lingered into March or April, we would have been
started worrying,
a bit concerned, right? So, hopefully he can come through the game unscathed. Anything else you guys want to touch on there before we head down to the Cacton?
No, I think we've covered it off pretty well. Should be a great game.
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. I think it's going to...
How good's Saturday Arvo footy as well.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. Park up, a few cold ones, double header, a Super Rugby Pacific. What more could you want? Bit of racing.
They having a I heard they're having like pockets of 100 people, sort of season ticket holders.
Okay.
For a maximum of about 1,200.
Because the Women's World Cup, they're allowed 10% capacity at stadiums now, so maybe the Super Rugby is going to go for a similar thing.
I definitely saw the Hurricanes were doing that. They were doing I think they had 800 seats available, and they were just putting them out to members. But you imagine over the coming weeks they might let a few more people in.
I mean, I've been to plenty of Hurricanes games at Sky Stadium. It's not been a problem with social distance at any of them, other than the finals.
So why don't someone just go set up some sort of protest and we all march down to the tin? And
I'm going to move along right now.
I've heard that sort of thing.
Highlanders.
Put it on Facebook. Put it on Twitter.
Saturday night. Hey. Paul, I'm trying to stop you from getting yourself fired.
Do your research, Paul.
Disinformation. Yeah, we can get people down there. Don't worry.
Go and set fire to a tent in your backyard if you want to. So we touched on the Hurricanes and what they've taken away from the Blues games. Hopefully they'll take another step forward towards having their top team here. But we haven't really touched too much on the Highlanders. We sort of touched on the Crusaders side of that game. Do you think the Highlanders will be happy with Friday night, Richard?
Well, they'll be happy with the first 60 minutes, with the first 20 minutes in particular. Like they came out firing, and I thought I didn't have too much just hope for them in that game, but and I was on a couple of different sort of point starts and that sort of thing, and I was on Crusaders 11-20, and I was getting very nervous. Took your advice there. Came in the end, but I was getting very nervous. So, I thought they would have a lot to be sort of happy about. I thought that the changes they'd made in the backs, with the double barrels that Emma Jensen and who's the other one? Garland Bishop. Fullback. I thought they both were sort of good ins. Unfortunately, obviously, Garland Bishop ended up going to the wing, didn't he? And
because Matty Banks came on.
And I think Matty Banks playing more minutes than he was expected. I thought he probably had a pretty good game. He had a few big moments under the high ball and all that. I think there's a lot for them to sort of be happy about, but as the Crusaders do, they were just, it's still, even though I was nervous, it still had that feeling that the Crusaders, all they needed was a moment from the likes of Will Jordan or Lester Whanganuku, and that's what happened, and they sort of ran away with it. It was a 15-point in the end. But I thought Smith and Hunt were much better than they were against the Chiefs, so they sort of controlled the game a bit more, and then obviously I see Smith's coming off the bench this week, which is interesting, but probably
resting.
I mean, and not the worst person to have sort of Fakatava having him start. And I thought Frizzell really stood up as well. I thought that was a really.
I thought he was huge last week.
He was massive. So he'll obviously know that this is probably a pretty massive year in his sort of career, whether he can, because as we've sort of discussed in this podcast already, there's a lot of depth in the loose forwards for the All Blacks at the moment. So he's going to have to keep up performances like that. But plenty to like for the Highlanders, but they just sort of probably lack that punch at the end there, didn't they?
Just when it push really came to shove, they couldn't go up a gear when the Crusaders did, and I don't know if there's a lot of factors that go into the Crusaders being a better rugby team overall is probably the biggest factor there. Like, you're not going to be playing the Crusaders every week. So, but yeah, how do you think the Highlanders are tracking so far, Paul?
Well, in terms of wins, not that good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but
What
in
takes?
terms of performance, I think they can be fairly happy with how they've gone at times during matches. As you said, they were up double digits against the Crusaders, and then the Crusaders decided to play rugby. But they actually look very, very good. Getting that lead, they just seem to. I don't know if it's switch off. I wouldn't say they switch off. I just say they get overrun slightly by other teams. Well, by the Crusaders anyway. So this will be a dangerous game for the Canes because A, the Highlanders are desperate for a win, and B, the Canes usually when they come off a big emotional win like that can sometimes fall back into their shell. I don't think it'll happen this weekend. But certainly it is a danger game for the Canes, and the Highlanders have the team that could upset the Hurricanes. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the Highlanders do that. I just like the makeup of this Canes team that they've put together this time. I think Sullivan certainly deserves his spot in the midfield. Well, Geordie Barrett and Artie Severe.
You think they deserve their spots in the starting 15?
I think they did enough in the last game to keep their jerseys. Karifi coming back in will give them a wee bit more mobility around the field. As long as he can keep the penalty count down, I think that's a big plus for the Canes. He's sort of in the same sort of mould as you, Patrick. Quite keen to enter the ruck from any old angle.
We both spend about the same amount of time on side, which is very little.
Exactly. So, yeah, all in all, I do like the look of the makeup of the Canes team, but I think Whakatawa starting is a great selection by the Highlanders camp, because I'm sure there's nothing more than he'd like to do is put one over the catchment area that he actually comes from.
Yeah.
Don't remind Patrick.
Yeah, and it's not the sort of thing you want if you're a Hurricanes fan and the Highlanders are clinging to maybe a small lead with 25 minutes to go. We'll just bring on Aaron Smith. Yeah. Like, I think it almost, like, you can make an argument for both ways because they're probably the two best halfbacks in New Zealand, and
especially the way that the Highlanders sort of, even though Whakatawa came on and was good, the way that they sort of just lost that momentum late in that game. Well, they have both games this year, so
maybe Eric can keep like they maybe get a bit sort of disjointed, and Whakatawa definitely provided an impetus against the Chiefs when they needed it. But if they are being competitive in the game, they just need to keep that structure and keep working the same way they always play. Aaron Smith's not going to let them get out of structure, as he's going to keep the troops rolling forward for sure. So they're just absolutely spoiled for choice in that halfback area there. In saying that, though, the Hurricanes do have a pretty good record against the Highlanders. They've won 5 of the last 6, won both pretty comfortably last season. Obviously, we all remember the Geordie Barrett show down at Forsyth Bar Stadium last year. So do you think something in the matchup of the teams that favours the Hurricanes here, or is it just maybe the way the chips have fallen recently, Richard?
Yeah, I think that on paper they probably have a more sort of well-rounded squad. I'm still got my questions about the Highlanders squad. I was probably surprised to see the line as big as it was, but then I suppose when you look at the history, Hurricanes won 5 of the last 6 and 8 of the last 10, and obviously had a couple of big wins recently. So when history, they're probably looking at history a lot there. And so results-wise, I mean, Hurricanes probably should be 0-2, or they definitely should be 0-2, but they were still they did enough to sort of come back, and the Highlanders are 0-2. So it's probably a combination of sort of where they are on the table, the results, and the history.
So you steaming into the Hurricanes as $1.37 favourites?
I would as $1.37 favourites, but maybe not the point start.
Okay. How about you, Paul? Does backing the Hurricanes as favourites of that nature make you a bit queasy?
Yeah, it's sort of got Warriors vibes about them. Back them when they're dogs. stay away from them when they're faves. But back to the Geordie Barrett thing, as you say, he had a huge game against the Highlanders last season, and I sort of relate it back to Michael Jordan when he went to the Garden and used to put on. I'm not saying that Geordie's in the Michael Jordan sphere at the moment. I'm just saying that there were certain teams where Michael Jordan didn't really matter how he was feeling. He just absolutely smashed him, and the Knicks felt that from Jordan many, many times. And I think the Highlanders might be the sort of team that Geordie Barrett just puts on a show against more often than not. So if I was to have a same game multi on this match, Geordie Barrett would feature quite prominently in that multi.
Sure he would. I had a joke about Geordie and some McNuggets, but I'm not going to say it because.
Oh wow.
No, yeah, I think that sums up. I'm also not keen to back the Hurricanes as 6.5 point favourites. What they are, because I'm never keen to back the Hurricanes as 6.5 point favourites unless they're playing the Rebels. So that's how I'm leaning for the game. We'll circle around to best bets in a minute, but is there anything on this side of the Tasman we've missed out on before we briefly hop across to Australia?
No, I think we've covered it all pretty well.
We've waffled on long enough. Well, I have anyway.
Yeah, no, I've once again done a very poor job as a host, so we're going to have to rattle through the Australian games very quickly. Paul, I'll let you kick us off with the Rebels taking on our Fijian Drua on Friday night.
Yeah, they're 14.5 point favourites, the Rebels, and I'm leaning the Fijian way here. I just
that was 17.5 and open. So
yeah. Well, I agree with the way the money's come. Then I just after having seen the Waratahs and the fight they put up against the Reds, it just put that before the Fijian Drua performance against them into a wee bit more perspective. Against the Brumbies, obviously, the Brumbies did exactly what we thought they would do. They starved the Drua of possession, and they put on some very, very good tries. For the Drua to win this one, they've got to get on the board early, and then they can build on that. And I think they should be able to. I think they put Baden Kerr back in the 15 jersey, and Caleb Muntz goes into the first 5. I don't mind the look of that. Just if they can get on a wee bit of a roll early on, even just slot an early penalty goal, that'll give them a lot of confidence, I think, to take them through to the rest of the game. So I think the Rebels are in all sorts of chaos. I just haven't been impressed with them whatsoever. The Force put them to the sword last week. Probably should have beaten them by a few more. I like the Drua plus the 14.5.
Yeah, definitely on board with you there. I mean, if a team that scored 8 points all season's 14-point favourites, something doesn't seem right. But yeah, no, they've given Reece Hodge the flick after he had another horror game in Melbourne on Saturday night. So Carter Gordon's now in the 15 jersey, which will be interesting. Yeah, it's another situation where it doesn't really seem like they know what they're doing. I think they've moved Matt Wells to the blind side and brought in, sorry, the name escapes me, Tamani at number 8. Not Tamani, sorry, but it might give him a bit more ball carrying punch there. But yeah,
Ioane.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yep, I knew I had the name wrong. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I just think that the Drua, if they can tighten up a bit more defensively, they should give the Rebels a pretty good run for their money. And yeah, if I feel sick backing the Hurricanes as 6.5 point favourites, leave me out of the Rebels as too. Onto late game over in Western Australia. Should be a pretty interesting one as well, I think. Richard, Force vs Reds.
Yeah, the line opened at 5.5 and it's into 2.5 points. So it's never easy to go travel to Perth. Force got a pretty
Certainly
good.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, it's true. Force got a pretty good record at home, and they've probably been the surprise package of the Super Rugby tournament so far. Like very unlucky not to sort of get that win over Brumbies, so they just didn't quite hold on in the final minutes, and then absolutely playing the Rebels off the park. So Force, they won the last meeting between these two and last year, and that was in Perth. It was 30-27, so close, but win for the Force. The Reds are 2-0, currently 5th on the table, but they've been sort of far from convincing. Obviously played the Rebels first week, who I think we all know what our thoughts on the Rebels are. And then last week, the weather probably didn't help it, but even considering they really kind of, I thought they just were far from convincing. Probably still should have beat the Waratahs by more. So I'm siding with. It doesn't feel right, but I'm siding with the Force in this one. I'm going to follow the money. I think it's just never a easy task to play over there, and I think they've been really good this season. So I probably won't be staying up till midnight to watch it, but I'm looking forward to checking the result in the morning.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm not really sure what way to lean. Should be a competitive game. How about you, Paul? Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a game to stay away from for me. First of all, it's on far too late for
They'll probably have it on at El Horno, won't they?
Who? Where? Anyway, I'm leaning towards the Reds. I think with a better track, they'll be a lot better. But the Force are, in my opinion, probably second equal of the Australian teams behind the Reds. So wouldn't surprise me to see the Force put one over the Reds here, but I just think they've got enough sort of experience to head across and take these boys on. So, yeah, I'm leaning slightly towards the Reds, but not with a lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably about the same. Last game of the round, as I'll touch on quickly, is the Brumbies taking on the Waratahs. I don't really know how much we learned about either of these two teams during the first 3 weeks. The Brumbies, weren't super impressive beating the Force in week 1, although that win probably looks better in hindsight after what the Force then went and did to the Rebels. The Waratahs, I said last week, I think that we were going to learn a lot about them against the Reds, but then Mother Nature went and spoiled that opportunity because that was just an absolute bog at Leichhardt Oval. Like they did control the game reasonably well, but couldn't score any points. Whether that was down to their set piece being a disaster or whether that was down to the weather remains to be seen. But I'm going to lean to the Brumbies here again. They're reasonable favourites. And I think that's deserved. They've got the runs on the board. The Waratahs, if the weather's all things being even, I think they will struggle to control the game against the Brumbies in the way they do against the Reds, certainly field position and position wise. So I could say, and I think the Brumbies they're well drilled enough and good enough defensively to shut down a few of those dangerous ball runners the Waratahs have in the forward pack. And if the Waratahs can't get ball out wide, the Brumbies maybe sort of strangle the life out of this one in the same way that they did against the Drua. I'd maybe look at Brumbies 1-12 though. I think the Waratahs can be semi-competitive here, but still a lot of unknowns about both these teams. So not another one I'm steaming into with a lot of confidence, that's for sure. All right, should we do some best bets and get out of here?
Sounds good.
What are we over under $1.15 for Paul's best bet of the week?
Okay, under.
What's your best bet, Paul?
Well, I want to hear Rissy's first. This is absolute filth.
Well, I had Chiefs plus 3.5. But I'm actually going to change it, and I'm going to go Crusaders minus 39.5 with that line. It's a big line, but I think that Crusaders it might be sort of close-ish start off, but I can just see once Moana comes on the end, they're going to run away with it. So 39.5.
And yours, Paul?
Yeah, ×2.
This can't be good because
Oh no.
Hey,
the curse, the curse might be broken. Oh, what have I done?
Don't talk about the curse. But I'm also on 39.5. That line's overcorrected too much. I expect Crusaders to well and truly run over Moana Pasifika late. So make it ×3 for Crusaders minus 39.5 is our best bet. Bit of value for the punters, Richard?
Hurricanes got a winning team margin 10-point market. Hurricanes 1-10, $3.10. I think it'll be close, but I do think the Hurricanes will win. And it's not my Super Rugby bonus back bet, but if you did want to take that, Hurricanes 1-12 is $2.80. So
nice one. What's your value bet, Paul?
I'm going to winning team and margin as well. I'm going to go Blues 1-12.
Interesting. I'm going the alternate point starts for the Crusaders game. I already had this one written down, but I'm just doubling down on the Crusaders now. I guess I'm going to go Crusaders minus 52.5 at $4 because I do think we could see the score really blow out late on if the Crusaders get a bit of a roll on. It's obviously under the roof. So
that's a great bet.
Yeah. I'll have a play at a few alternate point starts on Friday night for sure. Did well on this one last week, didn't we? Put in the Blues on upset alert, and they went and obliged. Who are we putting on upset alert this week, Paul?
Fiji and Drua. $5.25.
Love it.
Mine's not as much value, just the Chiefs, $2.30.
Yeah, I'm also with the Chiefs at $2.30. I think that's, I think they're a great chance of causing an upset there. So taking on the Blues and backing the Drua, that's a classic pick and go double there for sure. Obviously, Super Rugby bonus back still going strong. Check out the Punters Lounge for all the T's and C's, but winning team in margin, right team, wrong margin, bonus back up to 50 pre-match bet. What are you doing with your bet, Paul?
So I can't take the Blues again, 1 to 12.
You can. You
Well,
can do it.
no, let's spread it out though. Yeah, let's go the Drua 1 to 12.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Get amongst.
What's that paying?
That is paying $6.50.
Oh,
Love it. And what are you doing with yours? Richard?
Rebels 1 to 12, $3.20. I think. Yeah, I do think they'll win.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that the line's such a big, I think that to be able to get $3.20 for that is very, very nice.
I'm going to go Reds 1 to 12, $2.90. I think the Force can upset them, but I think the Reds probably win, and I don't think it'll be a blowout. So yeah, take the $2.90. Yeah, they played a couple of pretty competitive games in Super Rugby AU last year, so I'll do that. And last but not least, what's your multi anchor for all your oval ball multi busters, Paul?
Yeah. Crusaders 13 and over. Is that at a
No,
dollar
because it
one?
has to be $1.20 to qualify.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. All right.
So think about it as your value bet, and then you'll probably get in the right area.
Look, I'm gonna go Reds at $1.65. There you go.
Oh, that's interesting. How about you, Richard? What do you?
Oh, Brumbies, $1.35.
Yeah, nice. I'm going with try scorer. No odds up at the time of recording, but Leicester Fainga'anuku will be scoring, and if even if he's not $1.20, just take him to score 2+ to get over the qualifying threshold there. That's what I'll be kicking off all my multis with. Leicester Fainga'anuku to score a try, as I will do. All right, last quick fire. Just a little update. I went 4 out of 5 with my picks at the line last week. You two went 3 out of 5, so I'm leading.
Pushes on, Paul.
So yeah, time to do it all again. Paul, quick fire. I want to stress Moana, Pasifika, Crusaders. I think we know what we're all on here though.
Crusaders.
7.5.
Crusaders.
All right. Has anyone taken the Rebels minus 14.5?
No.
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 Cool. Reds minus 2.5.
Force.
Paul.
Reds.
I'm on the Reds minus 2.5 as well. I'm going to take Chiefs plus 3.5.
Chiefs.
Paul.
Blues.
Oh.
Hurricanes minus 6.5 against the Highlanders. Paul.
Oh. I'm going to take the Canes.
Richard.
Geordie's going to have a big one.
I'm taking the Landers. Leave me out of the Hurricanes as 6.5-point favourites. And last but maybe least, I'm not quite sure. Brumbies 7.5 against the Waratahs. Paul, where are you in?
I'm going Brumbies.
Yeah, Brumbies.
Yeah, I'll go Brumbies as well. Leave me out of the Waratahs. All right, that does us. Didn't get time to get to Six Nations, but they're on an off week this week. All you need to know about that is France are really good at rugby and score lots of points. We'll be back next week. Well, I don't think I'll be back. I'm going to be touring around the Central North Island.
Oh,
drinking
wow.
a lot of wine. So
we might have a special guest though, Paul.
Yeah, we'll make sure someone's here to break down all the action, and I'll get my tips in to make sure I keep running along in this tipping compare. So until next week, enjoy all the footy this weekend, punters, and we'll
Peter Jensen, is he going to be the guest?
Get on the blower and see if he can arrange it.
Surely he spent some time down at Al Horno.
Yeah, if any Super Rugby players are listening and want to come on and take issue with any of our takes from the last 24
come
months.
on down.
Yeah, send TAB Sport a DM and we'll tee it up. So I'd love
slip
to have
into my DMs.
I get the feeling you have a lot of practice saying that, Paul.
No, I have no idea what it means either.
And on that note, punters, thank you very much for joining the Picking Up podcast. We'll talk to you again in 7 days. Go the Drua.
Go the Canes.
Vinaka.
Wow, hey.
That got off the rails. I feel like I'm going to cause about 4 traffic accidents with people like driving down the road, and then Paul starts talking about the protesters. I'm like, no.